The autumn leaves of the Pacific Northwest carried whispers of unease in the mid-1970s. A chilling dread began to seep into the vibrant college towns and serene landscapes, not from a natural disaster, but from something far more insidious, an unseen predator. His name, soon to be etched into the darkest corners of criminal history, was Ted Bundy. To all outward appearances, Theodore Robert Bundy was the quintessential American golden boy. Handsome, intelligent, articulate, and often seen carrying a briefcase or an arm in a sling, he possessed a disarming charm that drew people in. He studied psychology, law, and even worked for a time at a suicide hotline. He was the kind of person you'd trust, the friendly face in a crowd, the charismatic stranger who made you feel at ease. And that was precisely his most potent weapon. Beneath the veneer of normalcy, however, lay a terrifying void. Bundy's charm was a carefully constructed mask, a tool of manipulation. He didn't stalk his victims from the shadows in the traditional sense. He operated in plain sight, leveraging his perceived harmlessness. He would feign injury, asking for help carrying books to his car, or pose as an authority figure, requesting assistance with a fake police investigation. Young women, eager to help a seemingly distressed or authoritative figure, would step willingly into his trap, often vanishing without a trace. His spree began in Washington state, with his first confirmed murder being Linda Ann Healy, a 21-year-old University of Washington student who disappeared from her basement bedroom in February 1974. Others followed rapidly. Donna Gail Manson, Susan Elaine Rancourt, Roberta Kathleen Parks, and Brenda Carroll Ball vanished across the Pacific Northwest in the spring and early summer of that year. Bundy often targeted women who resembled his ex-girlfriend, young, attractive, with long dark hair parted in the middle. At Lake Sammamish State Park in July 1974, he abducted Janice Ott and Denise Naslund in broad daylight, using the guise of needing help with his sailboat. His malignant shadow then spread. From the sorority houses of Seattle to the snowy slopes of Utah, from the serene wilderness of Colorado to the sun-drenched beaches of Florida, Bundy left a trail of terror and unanswered questions. In Utah, he attacked Carol Duranch, who bravely fought him off after he tried to handcuff her in his car. Later, the same day, Deborah Jean Kent, 17, disappeared from an ice skating rink. In Colorado, Corinne Eileen Campbell, a nurse, disappeared from her hotel in Snowmass in January 1975. The sheer geographical breadth of his crimes, combined with the lack of a clear motive beyond an insatiable, escalating pathology, baffled law enforcement agencies across multiple states. His victims were abducted, murdered, and often their remains were meticulously hidden, sometimes revisited. Bundy's story is punctuated by a series of audacious captures and escapes, each highlighting his chilling cunning and audacious self-belief. His first arrest in Utah, based on suspicious behavior and possession of tools linked to abductions, led to his initial conviction for kidnapping. But his stay in jail was brief. In June 1977, he escaped by jumping from a second-story window of the courthouse library.
Of the Pitkin County Courthouse this morning. He was scheduled for a court appearance and apparently had been locked into the law library by sheriff's deputies while attorneys were arguing a motion to strike the death penalty. Witnesses say he left in a hurry, however, nobody saw him open the window, and he escaped clean in an unknown direction.
Recaptured, he staged an even more dramatic escape from a Colorado jail in December 1977, sawing a hole in his cell ceiling and then climbing out through a light fixture. This brazen defiance of justice only amplified the nationwide panic and fascination surrounding him. After his second escape, Bundy made his way to Florida. In January 1978, he launched a brutal attack on the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. He bludgeoned and strangled Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy to death, and severely injured Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner in their beds. The gruesome scene, marked by the savagery of the attacks and a distinct bite mark on Lisa Levy's body that would later be crucial evidence, horrified the nation. Just weeks later, in February 1978, he abducted and murdered Kimberly Leach, a 12-year-old girl, from her middle school in Lake City, Florida. These horrific acts marked the end of his active killing spree. The trials that followed were theatrical and unsettling. Bundy, having studied law, famously chose to represent himself. transforming the courtroom into a stage for his ego. He cross-examined witnesses, including survivors like Carol Duranch, with a chilling detachment and a perverse enjoyment of the legal sparring. His charisma, which had once lured victims, now captivated the media, turning the proceedings into a macabre spectacle. Despite his intellectual arrogance and repeated claims of innocence,
I'm not guilty.
the overwhelming evidence, including the critical bite mark evidence from the Chi Omega case, sealed his fate. He was eventually convicted of multiple murders in Florida, receiving death sentences. In the final days before his execution in January 1989, facing the electric chair, Ted Bundy finally began to confess. Though even then, his admissions were strategic and incomplete. He hinted at dozens more victims, speaking with a clinical, almost academic tone about the forces he claimed drove him. His death brought a collective sigh of relief, but it did not erase the profound impact he had on the perception of evil. Ted Bundy became a chilling archetype, the monster who didn't look like a monster, the charming facade hiding a predator, forever changing how society viewed strangers, and the potential for darkness lurking in plain sight. His story remains a stark reminder of the deceptive nature of evil and the enduring grief of those whose lives he so brutally shattered. Like and subscribe for more.